That can't be it. That doesn't sound right.
I
Uh,
see.
waiting. And while we're waiting, yeah, I think we're all live. I think we're 100% live at this point.
It says live, 13 seconds and counting. All right.
Yes, yeah, we're there. We're there. Wow. Let me say this part because I have my questions here. Well, Kevin can go last because he probably won't be as surprised as Jack and Ryan. So my first question is always the fun one because you gotta get to the fun one before you get to all this heartbreaking stuff down here. How surprised were you that I actually pulled 474 on the platform in front of the judges?
Who did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I knew it, dude. I knew you were gonna do that. I know you have 500 in you, easy. So yeah, I see big coming. I thought it was awesome. Your deadlift coming around. That's exciting, man. You're going places, brother. Everything's gonna be above 1200 from now on for you. So that's fantastic. Great job at nationals.
Brother Ryan, how surprised were you?
Zero, buddy. I knew you'd get it. And you're going to do fine. And you're just building that total until you get to the world stage or wherever you want to go, brother. You got it. It's easy money now. Like, you got these wins. You've done it on a stage. Next time you walk on that stage, it's going to be a different feeling. It's going to be comfortable. It's going to be a whole different ball game. Like, it's like you blew your wad in front of a big stage, and now you're a big time, you're a big show powerlifter, buddy. And you're used to the show, and it's different, man. And there you go. But you're going to crush it, Norris. You're going to crush it at the next level.
No one was surprised. Well, Kevin, how surprised?
No one was surprised in the good way, buddy. In the good way. If you missed it and you say we were surprised, then I would be surprised. But we had faith in you, buddy. That's good.
No, I was gonna say I saw him in person in Vegas, and he's a lot bigger in person than he is on here. So I was surprised. I was like, my man's pretty huge. So yeah, I know.
It's dope because he was getting lighter the entire time he did his training block. I'm super proud of him. And what I was worried about, he handled better than I anticipated. We came in with like, hey, these are the minimum numbers for your third attempts that we want to go for. And that was 474 was above the 460, 464, something like that, 465. It was well within. So I knew that, and I warned him, you're going to be waiting a long time. You're going to get cold. And that was the experience that he needed. He needed how hectic it can be at a national level when there's hundreds and hundreds of competitors, because it changes the dynamic and it affects you. You hit your adrenaline rush and then it's gone, and you're still waiting 45 minutes before you pull. So I know that in training he's got 500 because he was very close to it in his training block with plenty of room in the tank, but we didn't go for 500. On the platform, it's always gym lifts are always, better than what you can perform on the platform for a variety of reasons. And that's why we actual powerlifters make a distinction between what's my best gym lift and what's my best on the platform. So surprised? Not at all. Very pleased. You overcame a lot of adversity. And we already know the things that we've got to work on moving forward. And you've been very responsive to that. So I expect 500 is going to be your second attempt in November. You're going to have that. You're on a steady rise, and I see no reason outside of doing something colossally stupid for that to slow down right now.
All right. Let's get to the serious stuff. Because Kevin said maybe a few months ago that men should be more emotional and actually reach out to other men and check and see how they're doing. So this was a very important topic, and especially right now, all the stuff going on in the world, we probably need to discuss this more often. So my first real question is, why is it important for men to have a high level of emotional IQ? Anybody can jump in at any time.
I'm referring as emotional IQ. I refer to it as emotional strength, because unlike IQ, emotional strength can be built. Because I believe that I was a pretty emotionally weak person at one time, but through doing work and through like reading things, understanding myself better, and taking the time to do things like self-love, evaluate the traumas in my life, and that sort of. I've trained myself to be emotionally stronger. So I like to think of it as emotional strength, and I think it's very important for anyone, especially as we're getting past the midlife or the midpoint of our life, to have emotional strength, because the other things might fail us, like physical health and that sort of thing. So it's important to have a good foundation and have emotional strength, because that will carry you a long way.
Anybody else can jump in anytime they want to.
I never shut up, so I try to let everybody else speak.
I can go because I'll be the contrary opinion, sort of. And we've had this discussion before in a good way or in a good natured way. I'm the guy that thinks men should go back to the frickin' 50s and suck it up a little bit and stop being so emotional. Now, I understand emotional IQ and understanding what others are going through, being able to help them process or be a good person and be nice to people and all that. But I think there should be a little more suck it up versus like, I don't know. I'm not right or wrong. Nobody's right or wrong in these kind of deeper issues. They're just different points of view. But I think it should be, I live a Dave and Goggins lifestyle, not a huggy emotional lifestyle. And it works for me and it doesn't work for others. And I understand that about coming together. But I'm the opposite. Like, emotional IQ is great, but sorry, man, I'm not a big one on emotions. Boys didn't cry when I got raised, man. And I think some of that needs to come back.
So I would say I agree with elements of points of both gentlemen. I would say that emotional resilience is what Jack is talking about, and successfully navigating, processing your emotions and constructively dealing with it is what Ryan is talking about. But unfortunately, when we have simplified things down for generations upon generations as suck it up, deal with it, boys don't cry, things like that, they're never, we went so far in that direction, we lost the skills, if we ever had them, to adequately and appropriately process what we're feeling. And unfortunately, the manifestation has been in society more and more, not completely, but more and more, that there's only really anger left for processing it at the end of the day. And that's not healthy. Not everybody is proactive in learning how to responsibly deal with their own feelings. A lot of people, I'd argue the majority of people, have resorted to projecting the problem onto the people that they're angry at and failing to be accountable. And the last thing that I would say on it is that emotional intelligence, emotional IQ, emotional resilience, emotional strength isn't really just about you. It is about being able to adequately serve the people that depend on you. Because if you go back to that 50s mentality, it's all about us providing. If you want to do that, you need to be able to provide on multiple fronts. You need to have those skills. And if you don't have those skills, you're failing. And if you don't like how that feels, suck it up. Well, conversely, if you're wallowing to the point of being completely incapacitated by your feelings, I feel, therefore I am, that's just as fucking useless in my opinion. And it can be equally destructive because you have prioritized the fact that you experience something over the needs of everyone around you. No one gets what they need anymore, and it's just all about you. I think both ends of the spectrum are very toxic. We've swung from one to the other so hard that now that we're swinging back through, men ought to figure out how to deal with their fucking emotions in a constructive way that isn't hurting the people around them. And there are some unpleasant parts of that where some folks are just using it as an excuse to not change a fucking thing about themselves and not do anything about their bitch ass problems. Personally, I think it's a mixture of the two. We need to be more emotionally resilient, less thin-skinned, less easily offended, but we also have to be responsible when our internal turmoil, trauma, upset, confusion, frustration turns into anger, and we take it out and project the responsibility onto others instead of taking it ourselves.
I think the misunderstanding of things like stoicism, and that's being resilient emotions, but really what stoicism and those philosophies are about processing emotions and going ahead and having actions that are going to add progress. having a good course of action with these emotions, not letting the emotions control you, but having a good understanding and control of these emotions. That doesn't mean disregarding them. It means acknowledging them and going on the best course of action by having those emotions. Like if you feel angry, you shouldn't just push that anger aside. You should evaluate it and be like, okay, why am I angry? And what to like fix this, because there's obviously been an injustice done to you, so we need to figure out what that injustice is and what the course of action for that is. And that's like that's utilizing stoicism to how it's supposed to be, not just disregarding emotions or feelings and just getting through the day. So I just think I just wanted to put that out there because I think that's like a common myth about things like stoicism, and I think that's a lot what David Goggins follows, and I agree with a lot of what he says.
Outstanding. Next question. At this stage of life, what would cause you to crash out emotionally?
Something happening to my kids that I couldn't control when my daughter's liver was failing. I was a fucking mess. But short of that, not much phases me.
Jack, Ryan?
I think I'm going through a lot right now. My mom has late-stage Alzheimer's, and whenever I go and visit her, it's very hard on me. But you learn, you go through the shock of it, and you go through the pain of it. And you may not react the best way. You may crash out a little bit emotionally, but you know what, you always make it the next day, and you're always up the next day, and you're like, okay, I had a bad day then, but it happened and I'm still here, so you know what, we got to make the best of the situation. So yeah, it doesn't take a lot for me to emotionally crash out, but I'm always, able to get back up and get my life together and move on. Sometimes I have to take time emotionally, um, but I always find a way to, get back up and find out what I need to do. Like it's like getting knocked down in boxing. You don't want to hop right back up. You want to take that eight, get your head together and get, if you need to do that, there's no shame in that.
Van Halen, do it. Do it, goddammit.
I am turning my headphones down. Holy crap.
Yeah, sorry, the backyard action here. I guess I'll agree with both of you. Agree with both of you guys on the last question. Nothing really. Nothing really could make me crash right out at this point. I've been through hell and back. I've walked a dark path. I've walked a light path. I've done this. There's not much that I can really think of that would make me truly just go crash and burn in flames. You know what I mean? Like you see people all the time on the news and the socials crashing out. Like I can't imagine a scenario outside of me being terminal or something like that where I might choose to crash out, because there's a lot of people that could take one of these in the teeth if I wasn't going to live past next week or whatever, and nothing serious, but it would just be, I can't imagine anything. It's been there, done that, and I'll be fine, get through it. But keep on keeping on is tattooed across my chest. That about sums it up, as Jack said, right?
Is it really?
It 100% is right across my chest there. And it's actually tattooed. It's tattooed backwards. So I see it in the mirror every morning. So it says right across my chest. I don't know if I can show it, but it's right across. I'll put a picture up. Right, keep on keeping on right there.
Right. That is dope.
And then it's backwards.
That is dope, dude.
Every morning shaving, keep on keeping on, man, no matter what the circumstances is, That's an old one that I've had on my body for a long time, though.
The next one is be nice across my knuckles for obvious reasons.
Sweet. All right. This is a one with a story, because Kimberly always says I don't have emotions and I'm a robot because I don't cry. And recently they had a lovely surprise for her friend, and her friend had tears of joy. Her tears of joy were so flowing that she actually dropped a tear on my arm. And I was like, perfect example. If I would have cried with your friend, would you have judged me? She said yes. So this is a perfect question. Should men be encouraged to unpack their emotions with their wives, spouse, or whomever they choose to date?
All I gotta say about that is be careful. Just be careful. If you choose to do that, be careful. That's all I gotta say.
I have a strongly worded response for this.
We're waiting on it.
All right, and I understand that I am the bleeding heart liberal raging feminist on the panel. I actually I am a card carrying feminist, the He for She UN organization since 2013. This is the single biggest area that women have utterly failed in my life. Not all women. Before somebody out there gets mad, the 2% of your audience that might be women. But the overwhelming majority, I dare say, at some point, everyone, including my lovely wife, who is down bad and would fight somebody to death with me, has utterly failed to respect when I was unpacking something that was deeply emotional, failed to make space for it, failed to honor it, and judged me as weaker for having done so, breaking down. I went through a long period of depression in my marriage, and some of the things that were said, I still think about. Pretty fucking hurtful things. Long relationship with my mother, who was a drunk, who was not emotionally available. I did all the work myself. I had to do it alone. So there's a part of me, even though I did the work, and I have, dismantled the parts of me that were chauvinistic or actively contributing to what I view as a largely patriarchal society, try to undo the damage, mitigate the damage on women, yada, 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 the things that are important to me. I also harbor a little bit of resentment for the dozens, if not hundreds, of women who have demanded that I be more emotionally available, that men like me be more emotionally available, more in touch with our feelings, and then shit on me when I did. I'm not talking about like my feelings became toxic and I was attacking them with them. The fact that I had a hurt and that I had an expectation that they were going to take accountability for their part in it was the problem. The fact that I was depressed made me look weak was the problem. And I have a great deal of resentment towards those women who did that, because they all had the expectation that I would continue to be this physically strong, charismatic, emotionally available person, but they did not show up for their half. And I'm fucking disappointed in all of them. And they get nothing from me. My wife and I, we work that shit out. But all the rest of them, they're furniture. I don't give a shit what they feel. Those specific ones. Don't take me out of context there.
Ryan.
That's some big words there, Kev. Like, and I agree with that. Like, most of it, good for you to be able to admit that, work through that, process that, and see that. Like, it's some tough stuff there. It's the greatest double-edged sword with modern masculinity right now. You look at all those memes going by, like liberal women can't find tough men and all these kinds, like just pop culture memes going by. But that's one of the biggest double standards. Expected to be emotionally available, have feelings, tear, this and that, yet look down upon it when it happens. Like, now this is where I guess I kind of win. Like I shed my one tear if my sport team wins. That's it, just one. Some family tragedy happens, I get one out of the other. And that's it. Then that's how I am, right?
It's dedicated
right?
eyes, joy, and
sports
grief.
team.
Gotcha.
Family tragedy, right?
Gotcha. Right.
Or I see an inspiring story on YouTube of someone overcoming something, you get one tear. But that's been it. Like, now, again, right or wrong, goes back a long time.
What about
it's
squatting 800 solid pounds? Does that give you
that? You know what? As a lifelong powerlifter, seeing a guy who's 340 pounds squat 8 bills is nothing, man. Like, that's not even a big lift. You're at Norris at your meet. There was guys squatting that. Sorry, the mythos of Ronnie Coleman is shattered when you see guys do that for reps, man. It's just. But back to the point, right? Like, I don't have that problem, but I see that where you lose the respect. Or I've had people thank me later, or people I've been in relationships with, because I have no emotions. Yeah, I was unemotionally unavailable and they ragged on me for it and all of this kind of stuff. But then when the shit hits the fan and I'm dead calm and ready to go and everything's cool, or there's some crisis, thank you for not falling apart has also happened, I've gotten praise for that, or I wanted to change you so much, but then you didn't change, and I appreciated it later that you're an emotionalist, tough guy, or something along those lines, right? Like Kevin, you're the wordsmith here. You put it quite well. It's just a tough double standard for guys.
Good points. All right. Now, this is a good one because this is where a lot of men are failing, especially in DC area. What are some healthy outlets for anger?
I mean, powerlifting, right? That's why I did. That's why I did all this anger in me. So that's great. I love lifting weights. Like doing boxing, doing jujitsu, doing anything physical that also challenges you mentally, and that's gonna help you as a human being progress, grow in some way, obtain a skill. Yeah, those are great outlets. There's several others too. Pickleball.
Fuck you. Fuck, I got a pickleball court out back of my house. These assholes are here 16 hours a day. They never stop. They're addicts. That is not healthy. That's an obsession. That was in. All day long. It never stops. Oh, sorry.
Pickleball.
Exercise, obviously. Exercise helps you process emotion. There's some of it that is I'm unsure of the specific science, but I have read in a number of places, some academic, some holistic, that stress can be stored in the body and physical exertion helps with it. I know that happens to be true. In my case, for dealing with anger, I got to personally, I got to write in my journal. I got to talk about it. I've got a couple of perfumes that I spray under I'm just kidding. I break it down with critical thinking skills because I think that solves most problems. Okay, what is the issue? What does the issue feel like? What is the real issue? Where do I feel wronged, unjust, attacked? Why do I feel defensive? Okay, how much of that is my fault? Is that actually true that none of this is my fault? That's probably unlikely. Okay, let's take a second look. Let's figure out what happened and why, figure out the order. Okay, now I can process it. Going back to Stoicism, that's been a very helpful tool because the fundamental basis of Stoicism is the understanding that all of your energy, all of your focus should be on the things that you can affect or change. And you should learn to let go of the things that you cannot affect or change. That is a fundamental principle of Stoicism. It's not feeling. It is not investing feeling in things that you can have no effect on or change. I don't worry about if it's going to snow tomorrow. I wonder if it might snow tomorrow, but I don't worry about it. I don't stress about it. When it happens, like Ryan, I'll deal with it. When a tragedy happens, calm, cool, collected, I will deal with it. I will do in that situation with what I can. And then later, I'll have a lot of emotion. Later, I'll have anger. What I don't do anymore is take it out on physical objects because I've broken my hand, I've dislocated my pinky, I've broken my foot, I've dislocated my shoulder, I've done permanent damage to my elbow. Battery on my light just died. So I don't do the physical stuff anymore, and I won't do MMA because somebody will get hurt, them or me. Like if I'm angry, the last thing I want to do is go put hands on somebody. That's just, the risk is low, but it exists. So why tempt fate? I want to fix my life.
All right, Ryan.
Again, you guys talking a good game. Everything's I kind of agree with. I'm going to go a little more anthropological on this one with ways to, how you get rid of the stress or the different things. Like this modern society is what? Social media, these stresses, 20, 30 years old. Mass information is 30, 40 years old. A sedentary lifestyle is 50 years old. We're a 200,000-year-old animal, depending on your belief structure. We were designed to run through the forest, live in villages, hunting, fishing, all of that. And I'm not saying go back to that. I'm not saying go be a hillbilly and go run and hunt in the forest, but fulfill those needs. Go hunt. Hunt can be anything. It can be a sport. Go play football. Go fight MMA, like maybe not Kevin, but I enjoy getting in the ring and boxing. I lift weights. I go achieve things. I go chase goals. Like the hunt and the gather and go exert yourself and go do what a man should do. And I don't mean this in some kind of chauvinistic way. I'm almost in a natural, traditional way. Go run through the forest. Go for a run, man. And the body is designed to do that. And if the body is designed to do that and you don't do it, it's going to add fuel to the fire with society and media and all the things coming at you and anxiety and all that. But if you go run yourself ragged, that's like a dog, man. Go run yourself ragged. You're going to feel better about life. You're going to get those endorphins. You're going to process everything. And you're going to live in a natural way that we were sort of anthropologically designed to be. And that doesn't mean that's what I just don't want to make the decision. I'm not saying go freaking live primal or freaking caveman guy or whatever, anything like that. But man, go chase something. Go exert yourself, or for me, I fight Muay Thai. And it's pretty hard to be stressed out about nothing after a 3-minute round, flailing away, right? Like I leave laughing, I leave with a shiner and I'm limping, but I mean, it was fantastic fun. And I can't possibly be stressed out later that day. Same with powerlifting, lifting weights. But I think everybody should be out exerting themselves. And I think sedentary is sort of a root cause of that. And when Kevin was getting into stoicism there, we're dancing around what I think is a really important point. We've danced around a few times here. It's internal versus external locus of control. Is simply the lever there. Like is the what you need to focus on yourself and what you can do, and not what the world can. And sometimes just go for a run, man. Go unstressed. Lift a weight.
Outstanding. All right. Next question. Why do you believe so many men have low emotional IQs?
I don't.
Not from what I've been seeing, Kevin. A lot of men, especially in the DC area, have been crashing out due to self-control and I believe just having a low emotional IQ.
So IQ is potential.
Yeah. Well,
IQ is potential.
Yeah.
It speaks to what, and I'm not trying to be pedantic. It's just an important difference. I think that we all have the potential to build this, but it's akin to asking the question, why are men's arms so small? How the hell is 15 inches above average, right? We could ask that question. And the answer is we live an increasingly sedentary lifestyle that requires less and less activity. And in the same way, we live an increasingly emotionally detached and physically distant existence from the people that we're interacting with. And it requires much less effort and ability to have an interaction than it ever did. We've never met in person, Norris, but I fucking love you, man. I mean, we tell each other that all the time. We've had conversations. We've talked about hard things. We've had hard conversations where we didn't see eye to eye and we listened to each other. That sort of thing is work now. People don't, they respond to a fucking Facebook post and they treat that like it was actually talking to the person. And the amount of effort that goes in is seconds compared to the minutes, the hours that interaction used to take. And I think that that is the root cause. It is an emotional form of sedentary lifestyle. We have it easy, we have it fast, we have it short. So we got lazy, we got out of shape, and we're no longer doing what we are capable of if we built that capacity.
I think to add on to that, because I agree with everything that you said there, but I also think we have some really bad examples too. Some very bad parenting happening, some very bad mentors, some very bad people in the school systems, bad people in the government. And we just don't have a lot of good people that, are, emotional pillars to look up to of strength. I'm not talking about men weeping, everywhere and being like whatever, little wilting rose or whatever it's called. But I'm talking about being emotionally strong. And we don't have many examples of that. And when there are examples of that, they're usually by general society trying to stomp down, because they see that as a threat for some reason. So I think it's, the adults that are raising these children and being mentors for these children that are producing men that are emotionally detached.
Outstanding. Ryan.
I like everyone's points. I'll just add again because I generally agree. I want to go anthropological on this answer too, and just go. So these men that are flaming out in record numbers, according to the question Norris asked, right? Why are they doing? Why is it happening? Is it because of like deeper reasons? Of course, there's everything everyone mentioned, mentors. It's a systemic kind of problem. But is it because we're not exercising, as Kevin brought up? We're not sedentary. We're not. On Earth has this much information been beamed into your goddamn brain in the entire history of human existence? So this is a new paradigm, new data that maybe the human animal is not adept at dealing with without other things, or only certain people can handle the fire hose that modern society is shooting into your brain at 1,000,000 megabytes a second, right? What did we used to do 200 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago? You wake up, fetch some water, take a crap, go hunting, right? Like, or whatever. Even 100 years ago, you worked the farm, you worked in a factory, life was simple. You only had so many bits of data beaming into your mind at the same time with no way to outlet it, right? So if people were exercising more, reading more, doing anything like that, as well as all the other things we mentioned, it could be a systemic thing. Or we should do some research on whether, how much of data can someone absorb or do whatever. Like, there's got to be thinking bigger than thinking smaller on this one. It's just a new data set that we've never experienced in modern world.
So there are some studies out there that are being conducted on the human capacity, range, and the factors that go into it that, for information that we can not only take in and reproduce, but conceptually understand and then extrapolate from. But they're approaching it from, this is an academic question. They're not approaching it from, we see this in society and what is the application to how it can better society, which is, I think, a massive gap in where the effort is going into understanding the human brain and its application to how humanity is going to advance with the answers that come out of it. Because I don't think that there's any focused effort to make that application. I think they just, at this point, want to understand, and they haven't really thought about how to apply. That might be not even in our lifetime that gets resolved.
Good point. Oh, well, speaking of actually, I guess, meeting people in person, like when me and Jack actually met in person, you would assume that we were friends for 20 something years. Like, you would assume we just saw each other yesterday. And I try to carry my life that way. And I know me and Kevin have had some honest and hard conversations. And the most important thing about conversations are to listen, digest, then respond, and then respond with, hey, let me see it from this point of view, because everybody want to be heard, but nobody wants to listen.
And I stand firm in that conversation. You shouldn't be wearing socks with Crocs. Just because they rhyme, that's not a good enough reason.
Now, I don't know how Jack felt about when we met in person, but
what really was really nice was meeting your wife, because she is,
fuck you, Mitchie. He was happy to meet Kim.
I mean, she is such a sweet, kind person, and it was really fantastic. And, it's just, I can see how you both are, fit together so well, because you both are really kind people. So that was really nice to see. So yeah, you're doing well with your wife there, buddy.
I appreciate it. I'll let her know you said so when she get home tonight. All right, this is a good one. Why should men be vulnerable with their emotions?
Should you use only 3 reps to build strength? I mean, it's situational. It's you cannot say should men be vulnerable and have it be a complete question. I'm not dogging on you. It's just, we have to assess the utility, the purpose, the risk reward, just like anything else. And as I said before, for me, even though I keep trying to be emotionally available because it serves others. I've been bit over that more than I have been helped. I've got the one person with any record of positive, when I'm vulnerable, it having a positive outcome with me. And that's it in my lifetime. Of all of the women that I've been with, I'm not externalizing blame for, because I've done some fucked up shit. I made huge mistakes, you know, that I crashed and burned. I hit rock bottom. I was making self-destructive decisions, and I have learned from that and tried to be. I'm a work in progress, trying to be a better person moving forward. But the people who failed me fucking failed me, and if I had the opportunity to go back and be vulnerable with them again, the answer is no.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the lesson there, you know, those people, because I've had that happen to me a lot, where I've let myself become emotionally vulnerable to the wrong people. And that's a lesson I'm still learning today, is who to be vulnerable to. And it's a very important choice, because people will use it to burn the shit out of you. They will hurt you. And you use, like, I don't know, with me, I usually end up doing it to people who are hurt. And one thing I've learned in my healing journey is that hurt people hurt.
I was going to say that. Yep.
Yeah. Whatever you give them, they're gonna reflect back, and they're gonna hurt you with it, because that's all they know how to do. All they know is hurt. So, you know, with a healed person or a healing person, if you're able to build that trust, and it should be built, you know, having emotions, being vulnerable with your emotions is like a precious gem that you want to keep safe. You just don't want to offer it to anyone. You want to offer it to people who are worthy of it. And that's the hard thing. And that's the thing that I have trouble with, because I've given myself over to people and been vulnerable to people who have really hurt me. And I'm just learning still how to navigate that and find people who are worthy of that vulnerability and to protect myself.
I think he asked the better question. Jack
Yeah.
nails it. I love what you said there, because ultimately what you're saying is you should have the skill to be vulnerable. That should be the skill that you have. But should you be more vulnerable? Not necessarily. That's situational and needs context. Or, as I imagine Ryan might say, no.
Well, hey, Ryan.
Well, you guys are waiting for this one, and finally some dissent on the panel here. We all love each other. We all generally get
Yes.
along, and we all have these conversations. And even though we disagree, I love Kevin's points, and I love Kevin, even though we disagree on most things in a good-natured way because of whatever our upbringing or whatever, you know, right? Yeah. I look forward to your opinion every time, buddy. And it's
Likewise.
fantastic and educated and thought out, you know, right? Like, but my thing is, don't be fucking vulnerable fucking ever. And there, I want to try and differentiate or delineate a sort of being vulnerable, and I'm trying to learn, or people should learn to respect others' emotions, have an emotional IQ, understand the situation, or express themselves without being vulnerable. Like never, ever, ever. Like, I don't know if it's old school, like better or worse, don't be. The end. You know what I mean? Sorry, like guys, like I'm gonna, you know, myself, I'm gonna stand a little firm on that one, not for the point of this discussion, but because where's the win? Give me a win in being vulnerable. All of you guys just put up big L's there. All the times it was L's, right? And you got to think of a win and loss record over a certain amount of time, or what it's going to do to you or your family or something like that, or if it takes away from something, or the ability to provide or protect or those around you and be a good man, you know, right? But no, I try and never, ever be vulnerable.
The one thing that I'll interject on that with is that there has been a few people that I've been vulnerable with. And because of that, I've actually strengthened those relationships, and I have someone that I can trust for life. It's very rare. It is very rare. And that you're right, the L's for me are more than the W's, but the W's for me are very much worth it.
So I have a thought, and I have a question for Ryan. The thought is that vulnerability should be the way that I'm describing it, and I trust the way that Jack is describing it. Vulnerability is a currency. It is an offering of trust. It says, I'm showing you my throat because I trust you, not because I'm subservient to you, not because I owe you, but because I trust you. I trust you with this vulnerability. Now, currency relies on somebody valuing it. If you don't value it, if you don't value that aspect of trust, or if you don't value that exchange, or you don't need that from another person, then obviously don't be vulnerable, because it gains you absolutely nothing. The question I would ask is, do you draw a distinction between being open and being vulnerable?
Now that's a good one.
That was for Ryan.
That's a very good question, and I think I do because my life is an open book, and people trust me because I am a man of my goddamn word, and you can take it to the bank. And it's not because I'm emotionally available to any of you guys. If I give you my word, I'll do to the ends of the earth. That's why everyone trusts me, and you work my life being an emotionally unavailable guy. But yes, there's a delineation there between the vulnerability and just showing your emotion or whatnot. Like there's a line there that needs to be dealt with. It's not unequivocally, but there should be a line between being vulnerable and showing something. Yes, because I don't think you should be vulnerable. Like if it's show me your neck, never. I'm never going to show you guys ever my neck or anybody, proverbially in that discussion, right? Sorry, it's for me. But that doesn't mean being open or letting. Yeah, exactly. And if I don't guard it, who is? Right? Or if I don't guard your neck when you show your neck, right? Like it's just old school there. But that's it. Like I don't think people should be vulnerable, but they should be open and have open discussions. Or open. These are my thoughts. These are my feelings. But I've done that for people, of course, and I'm an open book to my wife and my inner circle of people. Or if I'm having a problem, I'm not afraid to talk about it. But there's still no emotions in that. It's try and do it like a Vulcan or a Tin Man or something. And again, I'm not saying my way is right or wrong or anything like that.
It works
but
for you.
It does work for me, and I'm always trying to work on being better. But yeah, there definitely should be. You should be open with the people that you need to be open with. But I'm still not going to cross that vulnerable line, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Your trust well is different. It's in a different spot. You're getting you're getting the trust exchange through personal accountability. It is a matter of pride for you that your word means something. I believe that you would keep your word to someone even if you found out that you were wrong. That you would still hold up your end of the bargain because it comes from personal accountability and reliability. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense for you.
Your balls, your back, and your word. 3 things you never break for anybody. The ends. Right? Like, might be old school. I might be Clint Eastwood here, but that is exactly how I go about it.
But I broke my balls. That's why I'm on medication. Shit.
Oh, don't worry. I'm so my balls are so amazing. With each shot in the butt every week that I'm supernatural.
They're concentrated. That's why they're so small.
Oh my goodness. All right, next question. This is actually just what I was just thinking of because, hey, why not? Should men be capable and willing to do violence when necessary?
100%. I mean, I'm always, when it comes to defending, your people, defending your home, defending, your property, defending your respect, defending your honor. Violence sometimes has to happen. It shouldn't be the go-to, but like sometimes, I tell people this, like especially the younger people, because I had one guy kind of disrespect me and put my name in his mouth or put my name in his mouth behind my back, talking shit. And I told him, I was like, look, dude, back in the day, they used to pull muskets out over stuff like this. All right. I was like, and it's over a matter of respect. And like, if I see you, I'm going to smack the shit out of you because of respect. And that's just how it goes. I don't allow myself to be disrespected like that because if you do, you're going to be walked over again. But physical violence, it has to be something I'm willing to go to prison over. And there are instances where that happens, but most of the time, I'll keep my distance if I, feel like I'm about to go to jail over some dumbass. Takes control.
Good point. Kevin, Ryan, anybody can jump in.
All right, I'll go. Yes, but it's a really slippery slope and a real tough one. It's like a good question, Norris. Absolutely, should you be capable of becoming a monster if the situation requires it for those around you and your friends and your family or your land or where you're on or whatever that is. But you also have to learn the sort of guilt risk redemption ratios. You spoke about prison time and all that, Jack, right? There's the knowing when to hold them and know when to fold them, know when to run and know when to walk away. But in terms of the ability to it, that's one of the reasons it was my initial start, other than a new way to get cardio, was of taking up fighting. Was it was a skill I lacked or a tool I lacked in the arsenal. Now I'm doing it for cardio, but I'm as a back in my mind, it's going, okay, I'm now learning another skill as I get into that ring every time on and fight, right? So it's just a useful tool, and not having a tool in your tool belt is just dumb in any situation. So you should always have that tool of being able to square up to the best of your ability for whatever reason. But the main ability is to learn it to not do it, if that makes sense. Because it's just there's more L's again than W's that can happen. But when the chips really fall, you got to know how to play them.
That's a good one, Kevin.
I'm not trying to be poetic or a wordsmith. I do appreciate that compliment, though, Ryan. Thank you very much for that. I talk the way that I think, and the thought that occurs is that a sword that is not tempered is brittle and breaks. Violence, obviously, is a required tool in the world that we live in. I cannot speak for anybody else on the panel, but I have, in my opinion, seen the worst that humanity has to offer working in anti-narcotics and anti-human trafficking, deploying with Marine Corps Special Operations. I have seen things, very, very bad things. I'm not trying to be overly dramatic or any of the rest of that. It should be such a high threshold before violence is the option that you resort to that I don't think most people make the right decision. They'll make it over an insult. No offense, Jack. I'm not going to fight somebody because they insulted me. I'm going to verbally humiliate them. I am going to absolutely embarrass them and trash them. Sure, I'll meet you with the energy that you bring me. But violence, I've seen where it ends. And it would take a lot. I think I mentioned it on one of these, because it happened like a year and a half ago. I had 2 guns pulled on me while I was trying to talk down a domestic situation that was going on up the street from me. And in that moment, it could have got violent. In that moment, I was mentally prepared. I was calm. I think I was actually disassociated at the time, which is probably not good, but that's what happened. I stayed calm, talked them down before the cops got there. Small town like this, small city like this, you're going to get shot because the cops are just, oh shit, an opportunity to fucking shoot somebody. They're going to do it here. I know these guys. They're itching for an opportunity like that. Violence was an option. Being violent with them subsequently because a couple of them got in trouble for what they were doing and they came around to make trouble at my house later. Violence was very much an option, but I chose against it. Not because I hate talking like this, but I know how I was trained. I know what I am capable of. I know what the other end of that encounter looks like. I have been on the other end of that encounter. That is not something that should ever be taken lightly. And that's why I don't train angry. It's why I don't fight angry. I got fucking probably decades of therapy before all of that anger is out. Is violence, should it be in the toolbox? Yes, but it's not a hammer. It's not a screwdriver. It's not a wrench. It's not a pry bar or something that you would frequently reach for in so many projects or things that you're working on. No, it is that niche tool that only has one place, and it's usually a last resort. It needs to be a last resort. It's just not treated that way.
Absolutely. I'm just saying that this younger generation could learn a little bit by taking a smack outside. That's all I'm saying. Is if they had a little bit of a pin smack outside their jaw, just for the shit that they've talked, maybe there wouldn't be so much shit talked about.
I disagree. Respectfully, I disagree. We've got stories in the news right now, kids who've been beat to death for being different, right? We know that fights are happening. I work in a high school. Fights are happening. it's not that kids don't fight. It's not that they haven't been smacked in the mouth. And so many of them don't understand when to stop that they boot stomp kids to death. And if I've got to choose between fluffing the fantasy of my generation that a good smack in the mouth taught people respect to keep a couple of kids alive because kids don't have their frontal fucking lobes developed enough not to take it too far, I'll take that. I would rather we disincentivize. I know the word I want, but it's not on my tongue because I'm getting a little worked up. We need to devalue violence as a casual solution, because any instance where it's taken too far, which has already occurred, is the fucking outcome that's a problem. So no, I respectfully, brother, I disagree.
Yeah.
And
I know that from my experience, that has helped me learn a lot about things like respect. But I Louis, and it was a different environment, and it's not gonna go the same way in other neighborhoods, but that was a part of it. They would have, like, if they had a problem, they would have stuff out in the parking lot and they would just take care of it there. And it solved problems. Like, it didn't lead to any further violence because, okay, you know what, we're going to take care of business, we're going to take care of our problem here. Didn't escalate, got deaded there. I think it has a place, but I don't know if it has a place in modern society, because I think we've just lost so much connection with, I don't know, like community and things about being men. So I don't know. I hear where you're coming from.
to be honest, I'll play middle advocate. One of my buddies actually has a program in DC for the local gangster rappers, the guys on the streets. Before it comes down to the gunplay, they actually have something called Guns Down, Gloves Up, where everybody agrees to meet at a parking lot. We section off the parking lot. We get a referee. We give you some gloves, and you get to handle your issues without putting them on the streets.
Because that's a de-escalation of what the level it was at. That's a de-escalation. That's
bring it on down.
Step in the right direction. Not necessarily where we should end, but that's a step in the right direction. And my last thought on this is, I would just say it seems to work with your area and with the people that you were with, Jack, as you were saying. I would say the analogy that brings to mind is saying that drunk driving helps you get home because I made it home every time I drunk drove.
Don't do that. Kids, don't do that.
Right? So it's only a problem when it's a problem, but because nobody around my circle has had a problem, it's not a problem.
Good point. And then to play other middle advocate, I have a new coworker who's a little odd, and everyone likes to make fun of him. And then I was thinking about it this way. I was like, the people who do like to bully him, that's like bullying a butterfly. I mean, you don't get my respect for that. You're just being a bully just to become a bully.
It's your job.
Yeah, my job. It's a guy. He's unique.
Okay.
He's very unique. But I realize with my patience level is sometimes you got to let people be themselves. And then I was like, I talked to him, and he was unpacking a bunch of his family issues, and I was just like, hey, man, this guy's a really good guy, and people just probably just need to leave him alone. But hey.
That's good that you did that. That's good that you did that. Have people stand up for other people. So
it's like bullying a butterfly, man. It's to me, you get no respect. You get respect.
And being not about bullying is about protecting others from bullies. That's what man is really about. That's, if you want to have a good example of when violence comes down, when you're protecting others. When someone is getting physically bullied and you have to physically intervene in the situation, that's a good case of, using violence when you need it, and not overdoing it, just using enough force to get the person, the fuck off the other person,
Yeah, so that's to me. I just think people just need to use their patience a little bit more, just a little bit more. All right, well, one last thing, and then we can wrap this up because we made it an hour plus now. If you can only do one exercise for the rest of your life, what exercise would it be?
We had such a honest, pleasant exchange of ideas, and now you got to put some shit in here we're going to fight about.
Hey, we got to go for it.
I'm ready for it.
You're ready for this?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Go for it, Jack.
Conventional deadlift.
That's the one?
That's the one. That's the only one I want.
Clean and press.
Ryan.
If I had to pick one, this is like, as much as this pains me to say, if you could only do one thing the rest of your life, the healthiest choice would probably be friggin' cardio.
Oh,
and that tasted bitter coming out of my mouth.
Oh,
Go back to Canada.
Seriously, okay, what's only deadlifting going to get you? You're going to be posterior chain man that can't freaking push something. You know what I mean? Like, your body's going to be all strung over the other direction, like, you know, imbalances all over the place. You know, right? Like, if you only had to do one thing, you can't bench. Maybe squats you could do
for the rest of my life.
Yeah, awesome. You know what I mean? You just can't do one exercise because there's always a contraction and an eccentric and a whatever. And like, you know, you guys are exercise science people, man. Like, it's so terrible for me to say, but I'll go cardio.
That's the most controversial thing that's been said on here all day.
Hey man, we're powerlifters. We don't do that.
Listen,
lifetime fat powerlifter here says the one thing you should do if all variables removed would be go for a friggin' walk, man. You know,
he's being real. Here's the thing: you would end up living a long time, but none of us would want to.
There you go, 100%. At least deadlifting, I have a sore, broken back, but I'm happy.
Well, I was thinking I could go light or heavy, right? So if I did a full squat clean, I'm getting my quads, I'm getting my glutes, getting my hamstrings, getting shoulders, getting a bit of bicep, a little bit of tricep, but I could do it light and fast, and I could still do cardio capacity, and I wouldn't have to walk or run.
Hey. Hey, I managed to lose 10 pounds without doing cardio. I'm just going about my business.
I've been walking 30 minutes a day, and all of my health markers are, they went from borderline to in the clear, except for my kidneys, and that's because of the stupid medication I'm taking.
I do my 10 steps a day, so,
10 steps?
Fucking
10?
10,000.
Oh, 10,000. Okay.
This year you guys knew I took 2024 off lifting heavy, right? And the greatest improvement to my life is it pains me to say, has been upping the cardio and lowering the crazy lifting. This is crazy to say. I'm going to come back one day, but that's the funniest thing for even me to say. For years was like, yeah, my cardio is walking to the squat rack slowly and then taking a nap in between sets was my cardio. And then now it's like I'm itching. I've been injured this last month here. And itching to get back in the Muay Thai ring more than I have been under the barbell. So that goes to show you right there. I'm looking forward to that more than I am. Now, I'm not going to stop powerlifting, boys. Like, don't get yourself twisted. But it is funny. And the extra cardio took 20 pounds off. And in terms of right now.
How's it going? You healing up?
Yeah, that's right. I've been seeing your hand all over Facebook. How's that?
I've been in and out of the hospital last month. The last couple weeks, I have been an outpatient care. So every day I go in. This is IVs installed in my arm, and I got an import and an outport installed in my arm. And all of this is from a cat bite. A cat bit me on my hand, and I almost died. And I am still like, I'm not going to die now, but we're still touch and go on whether my hand is operational and different things like that. So I'm going to live, boys. Yay. But we're now worried about hand function. And this is from 2 little needle teeth marks right in my hand.
Bacteria in cats' teeth. Yeah, they can.
Well, no, I know, man. I know. I know. I have figured that out.
Crazy.
Cats are lethal predators, even though my lethal
Really?
predator cat is 12 pounds and he's cute and
Oh,
fuzzy.
it was your
And it was
cat
my
that did
own
it?
cat. Yeah, my own cat. Yeah. Just playing, nothing serious. That's what I mean. It's one of those ones where this injury, I've had lots of injuries over the years, but this one is one of the more random ones. And it actually makes me want to live life out loud even more because, man, it can be taken away in a second, man. And this is not like,
Yeah.
oh, I was lifting 800 pounds and blew up my spine, or it wasn't like I got
That is a
punched and
better
got
story.
PTE. I got bit by a cat and almost lost my hand and freaking died. And now it's like, you know what? I'm going to live life, man, because it can be, you gotta enjoy yourself, man.
Well, I'm glad you're recovering and on the road to
Unbelievable.
recovery, brother.
Hey,
Unbelievable.
and on that note, there's only one way to close this thing out because we had a very interesting conversation, which I'm going to do a bunch of typing and hope I can get to my YouTube, fingers crossed, so I can actually edit this. But there's only one way to close this out, kids, and that's the mortal words of David Goggins. Somewhere out there, there's a motherfucker who wants everything you have, wants the wife you have, or the husband you have, or the job you have. Somewhere out there, there's a motherfucker who wants everything you have. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But if it is, it's your ass. On that note, see you guys in, I guess, a few weeks.
Yes, sir.
Salute.
That's
Anything
good.
closing on your end? Email, whatever you guys want to say. Let's close this thing out.
You know where to find me on Instagram, STARR3934. Yeah, just give me a follow if you want.
Yeah, don't try and find
Uh,
me. If you do, you're not going to want to leave. It's going to get awkward for both of us. So it's just better if you don't.
I'm waiting for Kevin to get the endorsement from Pantene or some companies like that on the YouTube channel. You got to work. You got to work the hair, buddy. My summer coming up, or the continuous thing for me is that you can find me at the Welfare Gourmet there under my name. It's my Instagram is public, and I tour around currently with North American Strength Promotions, hosting strongman and powerlifting shows. So while I'm not actually lifting boys, I'm still big. I'm a ref. I'm in the community. We're still throwing shows.
Hell yeah.
We just did Western Canada's Strongest Man. It was fantastic. We have a big expo coming up in Nanaimo, British Columbia in October, which is strongman, powerlifting, and CrossFit all set up like the games with like an expo and all of that. And, it's strongman outside, powerlifting in the gym, CrossFit, and it's going to be a big fitness expose. So we're trying to up our game. I'm the announcer and a ref, and the organization over me I work for is North American Strength Promotions. We're just trying to get something together out here on the West Coast and bring strength culture to everybody.
Hell yeah.
Nope.
Hell yeah.
Well, Kevin, I will see you soon on the platform. And Ryan, I'll see you whenever I can make it to Canada.
I'll make it down there one day again, boys. Like I've been to 30 different states, so maybe I'll make it to the Northeast to see you two there. Where you living, Jack?
Oh, I'm in LA.
Oh, okay, I'm probably not going to go to California. Sorry, buddy. Maybe to see you only. Well, I soil myself with that state, but I still love you, though, Jack. Still love you, buddy.
So I know.
Even for a Canadian, it's ridiculous down there, buddy. Sorry, I'm sorry for you.
Motherfucker said California.
Oh my God. That's the best way to end this.
Shit, yeah.
You know California messed up with a Canadian. Like, I'm not coming. Get somebody else to do it.
Fuck, I'm going to be sitting on that for a while.
From 5,000 miles away, we can smell it, boys. That's all.
You killed Norris. You got blood on your hands.
Well, Kevin, I'll see you in November.
All right, boys.
Gentlemen, you guys have a fantastic evening. It was a joy. It was a pleasure.
All right, kids.
Hey guys.
Oh, Lord.